Recently, we've been graced with the comeback stories of plenty of different old NASCAR tracks. North Wilkesboro was brought back from the dead in this past decade. Rockingham had Xfinity and truck races in the big 2025. And this past weekend, NASCAR raced their 5th year in a row at the Nashville Superspeedway, after about a decade just sitting there dormant. Yet around America, there are countless stories of tracks that closed down, that did not have the happy ending and have no shot at coming back, like my old home track, the Rockford Speedway. Today, I wanted to hold a little bit of hope on some tracks, or at least ones that people talk about, that one way or another maybe could come back one day. Not fully demolished, or at least being there as some sort of landmark. Let's jump into it. Let's start off with old familiar on this channel with the Chicagoland Speedway. Opening in 2001, it hosted races for all 3 of the top series of NASCAR, ARCA, Open Wheel, and a whole lot of other great racing events. But as NASCAR's popularity waned, so too did the popularity of the Joliet track, and the crowds went down with it. It had great finishes and great races, especially in the 2010s and end of the 2010s, but held no way of fighting back against Illinois' harsh pandemic laws and lockdowns at the time. By the time that it could be back on the schedule in 2022, it was already announced that the Chicago Street Race was inked in for the next year. But now that race is in its last year of its contract at the moment. It might be extended, but if not, Chicagoland Speedway has been kept up greatly. Fans are practically begging for it back on social media, and NASCAR has made it a point to build on and stay in the Chicago area. Plus, the track itself is actually being built on a little bit as of itself right now. It's in great condition, so there's a great shot that this could come back to NASCAR as soon as 2026. How about one that people don't normally talk about anymore when it comes to racing, but people talk about with the past? Twin Ring Motegi Speedway, a 1.5-mile oval that NASCAR had an exhibition race in Japan in 1998. Also the site of Danica Patrick's only INDYCAR win in 2008. Due to an earthquake in Japan at the time, the track was damaged and the oval was abandoned in 2011 while the rest of the sports car course was used. It hasn't been used for events ever since and is more or less just a giant parking lot. If Twin Ring is a long shot, Texas World is trying to curve the damn bullet. The 2-mile sister track of Michigan International Speedway, opening in 1969, it actually ran up until 2017, holding NASCAR races for years and even the Cup finale for a while. But with its closing over time, as it really never could get a groove on when it came to NASCAR in any of the top series, it has slowly been torn down over the years to the point of only the outline remaining of the track as a housing development is being built. Another booming real estate market, if you will. Now, the Kentucky Speedway, on the other hand, is one that I think a lot of people have more hope for. Another 1.5-mile track opened in the late 90s or early 2000s as part of NASCAR's boom period. It was really one for the lower series in its first decade or so. Jumping to Cup in 2011, there was a lot of hope that this track would be great and big for SMI and another huge market build for them. Unfortunately, the traffic issues in 2011 poisoned the well early on. While the track started to get a little bit of a groove on when it came to its audience, it never really could match the hype that it was brought up with. Generally, it was pretty much seen as a mid-track that was okay at times but didn't produce the greatest racing, but it did have some awesome finishes in 2019 and 2020, though that 2020 finish was not enough to save it from schedule removal after the fact. COVID not to blame on this one. Slowly, it started to lose its fight with nature over time. Unlike Chicagoland, the area with other options, this one has not been kept up on as well, according to the latest drone footage that's been posted online. Each passing year that this track is not used, it's less likely to return. Though a lot of people probably would say the same thing about Nashville Superspeedway, so there still is hope. The Occoneechee Speedway is an interesting one. As one of NASCAR's original 8 tracks in 1949, it hosted the series' third ever race, and it raced in NASCAR all the way up to 1968 when it was closed. Over time, though, because of that, it ended up being a track that just was abandoned and overgrown over time. Its date given to Talladega, it was quickly forgotten when it came to a lot of NASCAR fans in the modern day. Today, the track is being renovated, though, as a historical landmark and walking trail. While the racing may never return, it is a great area that could be one to have a pilgrimage for NASCAR fans when they come out to the Carolinas. After all, how often do you get to go to some of the original tracks of NASCAR? The Nazareth Speedway is a really interesting one. Opening all the way back in 1910 for auto racing, it was originally a horse track from the 1850s. From the late 80s until 2004, though, the Xfinity Series would grace the Pennsylvania track, but with ISC gaining control of it in 1999, it was spelling doom for the track, as the corporation would close it down in 2004 as a way to open up dates on the lower series schedule for their other tracks, using this one as a tax write-off for years before finally just giving it up. Now it is beyond repair. It's been zoned for commercial use, and while some people are holding out hope that maybe a rich billionaire can come buy it and save it, it's looking like that's never going to be the case. The Memphis International Raceway was a track, in my opinion, that seemed like it was raced at longer ago than it actually was. Founded by Ed Gatlin in 1986, the short track would be created in 1998. Over this time, and the time it ran in the Trucks and Xfinity Series after 98 and 99, both of them raced until 2009, with shifting ownership being the biggest problem for it. While staying off the main 3 series schedules at the track after that, they did keep racing until its closure in 2022, with ARCA, the K&N East Series, and even some NASA projects being held there. Once it closed, though, it has been abandoned for years. The Auto Club Speedway is another interesting one. Originally a 2-mile D-shaped oval, opened in 1997, again as part of that boom period for NASCAR into other markets. Cup racing was there that year and raced for decades at the track. It was controversial for a lot of old school fans. For instance, its second date, or at least what became its second date, was one that took Darlington's traditional Labor Day weekend date. And while it expanded to those 2 dates until 2010, the track could really never get consistency with crowds and fan approval. It went to 1 date in 2011, and that's really where the track hit its prime, both with great racing as well as having 1 date to focus on. And these exceptional races and moments made it a fan favorite for NASCAR. But rumors of a reconfiguration started to swirl, and around 2020, right before COVID, that's when it really became something out there in the open of them making it a short track. Something that with the Gen 6 car actually probably would have been an improvement rather than a repave. But after a year off with the COVID lockdowns and such in 2021, the track had 2 years back on the schedule in 22 and 23 before they sold off most of the land that it sits on. Now it sits torn up, with only a front stretch and some grandstands and a few other buildings around it, and no update in years of if it's ever going to happen. And to close off, we'll talk about the Mansfield Motor Speedway, a 0.4 of a mile short track that was once dirt and then was asphalt until it was dirt again over in Ohio. Opened in 1959, it hosted a bunch of local and regional races and series over the years before NASCAR joined the party on the asphalt in 2004 with the Truck Series, starting a 5-year run at the racetrack before leaving. ARCA and the K&N East Series also raced for a few years there, but after a tumultuous 2010s, it spelled doom for the track. In 2017, plans were made to convert it back to dirt for a few years, yet it still did close in 2019. The track began to be demolished, with parts of it being scrapped or given, say, to a local high school or other tracks in the surrounding area. Though this past weekend, as of recording this and the release of the video, it was actually announced that former NASCAR driver and team owner Matt Tifft bought the facility. And based on the video he said, which will be linked in the description below, he said the intention is to bring back the track, first as a dirt track and then eventually as asphalt. His full plans are in the video and I implore you to watch it, it's very interesting. But this is a very happy ending for a track that seemed like it was destined to be demolished. So there's some of the sad history of closed down NASCAR tracks, but also the hopeful future of some of the others getting some form of redemption to racing fans. So now I want to leave it to you. Which tracks did I leave off that I should have talked about? And which ones do you think are coming back? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one, and be sure to watch NWP tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this channel. Until then, have a good one.